Pokémon Legends Arceus has finally given the gameplay experience of a time long since past, where Arceus was in its prime. In fact, it actually also gave the first in-game encounter with Arceus, period. With its reputation as the Pokémon god ever since Generation 4, Arceus has been subject to several memes and jokes. If it's supposedly the most powerful Pokémon ever, then why does it falter in so many aspects? With my history of Arceus-related videos, it's about time I take a good hard look at what's represented in Pokémon Legends Arceus. So yes, with that infamous video, the main point was that through gameplay, design, and story, Arceus is never presented as anything more than a regular legendary or mythical Pokemon, just barely having a status higher than its peers, and later being outclassed in power by Pokemon from beyond its reach, like Mega Rayquaza and Ultra Necrozma. I'm going to ignore that video and start fresh going off of what we see in Pokémon Legends Arceus, as well as its companion game Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, judging Arceus based on what we see in those games as far as gameplay and story that is presented. So Legends Arceus hits the ground running as the very being to greet us and ask our name and appearance is Arceus in the flesh. Actually, it's just a disembodied voice with a glowing orb that reveals itself to be an Arceus-shaped mass of light upon sending us out into our mission. Already, this is a lot to unpack. We get an idea of some of the powers that Arceus possesses. First of all, it's capable of speaking directly to the player character. Some mythical and legendary Pokemon have been seen communicating with humans throughout the canon of the anime, but this for the most part is the first time we see it in a video game, aside from birds repeating human speech and Rotom decks being the horrors of science. In Legends Arceus, the Lake Guardians as well as Polka and Dialga also speak telepathically, but Arceus says the most out of all of them, even using early modern English. You know, all the thous and shouts. It is weird because I can't really find out if something similar is used in other languages. From what I've seen in Spanish playthroughs at least, it just seems typically formal, not as drastic as it is in English. Early modern English was of course used in older written English because that's just how English was back then. Nowadays it's mostly associated with the works of William Shakespeare or the King James edition of the Bible, the first English printing. I assume Arceus speaks this way because the English translators wanted to give Arceus that feeling of the Christian god, perhaps. This is just my guess, but I will take this as canon because it is in the final version of the game. I will also take it to mean that Arceus speaks an older version of the language the player character understands. Maybe it's been a while since Arceus has last seen a human, and so its understanding of human language is outdated. It probably understands language in the way that it was used during the time of the hero spoken of in the game. Arceus' appearance in this cutscene is also notable. It is in the same Arceus shape that we're used to, but the exact appearance in this Dark Void is obscured. This could be close to a true form of Arceus, or at least close to a physical form. Lastly, we learn a little about Arceus' powers. A point that I had previously made is that even though Arceus is said to have created the Sinnoh region, older games had very little solid evidence for Arceus doing anything beyond the capabilities of a normal legendary or mythical Pokemon. The most notable thing Arceus had done was create a Pokemon egg in the Sinja Ruins event, so keeping track of the abilities shown in Legends Arceus is going to be important, because it'll give us an idea of just how powerful Arceus is. So first of all, Arceus is able to transport a human across time and potentially space. We don't know a lot about the player character's life before coming to Hisui, but we know that they come from modern times. As far as where they lived, I doubt they lived in the exact modern version of Prelude Beach, the precise location they needed to be in order to counter Professor Laventon. And I wouldn't leave that up to coincidence. I think that was specifically orchestrated by Arceus, so I'm going to count that as manipulating space as well as time. Lastly, from this opening cutscene, we see that Arceus is able to manipulate matter by taking the player's smartphone and transforming it into an Arc phone. And from here we do get occasional messages and some guidance from Arceus through this Arc phone, but really most of our experience during the game is with the people of Hisui and other legendary and mythical Pokemon, until the post-game where we get some details about the creation myths of Hisui and hear about Arceus. And anything said about Arceus during this time I can only take as legends and myths similar to other games. But after catching all Pokemon in a final battle against Volo, we're rewarded for our efforts and get to meet Arceus face to face. The player character is transported to Arceus' realm and Arceus appears out of nowhere. I would assume being able to transport others across time and space applies to itself, but without a word, we're entered into a battle with Arceus. Of course, these types of battles unique to the bosses in Legends Arceus are different from typical battles in Pokemon. So aside from being a Pokemon with a very strong stat line, this is also the most involved and activity-intensive battle in any Pokemon game. And during the entire battle, Arceus is not holding up. letting out blasts of energy, firing lasers, and dropping balls of fire. It's unclear if these translate directly into moves, but I guess we can add all of these abilities to its resume. And after the battle, Arceus decides to speak directly to us and congratulates us for catching every Pokemon and defeating it in battle. Of course, this would be the point where we actually get to obtain an Arceus for ourselves, but Arceus simply says that it bestows upon us a part of itself, and an Arceus is added to our party. We can use this Arceus for ourselves in battle, and it's just as strong as any Arceus from previous Pokemon games. Maybe a bit stronger with the use of its new signature item, but the fact that this is stated to be a part of Arceus is the most important, because likely any other time we would see an Arceus on an equal power level to the one we obtain is also just part of Arceus. That includes any Arceus mystery gifts we would receive from events, and the Arceus present in the Hall of Origin in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, which can be caught inside a Pokeball. And even later in Legends Arceus, we can have a rematch against Arceus back in its own realm. This solves one of the big problems that existed before concerning Arceus. The joke about it supposedly being the strongest Pokemon in existence, yet it could easily be captured by a child inside a Pokeball. What we catch inside the Pokeball is only a part of Arceus, while the true Arceus remains in its home. Back before the announcement of Legends Arceus and even Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, the internet was treated to the knowledge of the existence of Arceus's beta sprite through a leak of an early Diamond and Pearl build. And while it technically isn't canon, many of us wanted this to be something like an origin form for Arceus in the yet to be released Sinnoh remakes. Basically the true form of Arceus. Now that we know the Arceus we typically see is only part of Arceus, it's almost as if that isn't its true form. The beginning cutscene shows a vaguely Arceus-shaped being made of light. I would think this incomprehensible form that we first meet is indeed Arceus' true form. And what we see during the battle at the end of the game, as well as what we're able to capture, are both just physical forms of itself. Mostly just an idea, but the fact that now the Arceus we're able to own is said to be only a part of Arceus, which is willingly bestowed, we can't really compare it to other strong Pokemon like Mega Rayquaza, Ultra Necrozma, and even Eternamax Eternatus, because those Pokemon are definitively their whole selves that can be defeated in battle and captured in Pokeballs, while Arceus continues to exist as it did even after it's captured. And because of all of this, I really can't have the same thoughts I did before. When I made that old video, I was using what we knew about Arceus through its implementation into the game and the lore surrounding it, what little there was, both of which didn't set it apart from other mythical and legendary Pokemon. But now with the story in Legends Arceus, that supersedes everything that came before, and establishes Arceus now as a definitive deity in the world of Pokemon. And this doesn't really count as a retcon. This is more so just giving Arceus the game that it needed, especially because the original Arceus event was never widely available. And really, I like that this change was added. And yeah, it's not technically a change, but it's just some extra additional details that were given concerning this Pokemon that had been built up to be very powerful. And I think it's the perfect remedy to this discussion that I've been having for a while that we shouldn't be able to capture legendary Pokemon. Of course, not every Pokemon is as powerful as Arceus and is able to just split a part of itself off to allow us to capture it, but I'm glad that they did so with Arceus at the end of this game, in order to preserve the lore that they had built up. But now that our adventures in Hisui are finished, we now know the legend of Arceus. I just want to thank my channel members who make these videos possible, like Justin R. and Quago. Your support means so much, and if any of you would like to become channel members, you can click that join button below and get access to some cool emotes that I drew myself. Anyway, you can follow me on Twitter as well, but this has been GatorX, and I'll catch you all later.
Arceus, a new Pokemon so mighty, legend says it shaped the Pokemon universe. Pokemon trading card game Platinum Arceus. In stores now. Each booster pack of 10 cards sold separately. Cards vary by pack.
Pardon me for living. Bye. Let's go.